Welcome everyone to Speedrunner Showcase, the show that had Morgan Freeman last week but forgot to hit record. Today this is our first Speedrunner Showcase featuring the game Marble Blast Ultra, which is very, very exciting. But as our special guest today, we have someone who's not unfamiliar to this channel, and that of course is m2k.
What's up?
How you doing, m2k? Why don't you introduce yourself for anybody who may not know you already?
So I'm m2k. I've been here a couple times for MIU, but this is a Speedrunner Showcase for MBU now. And those are the two games I mainly run.
Yeah, Marble Blast Ultra. Man, this game is a blast from the past. Have you, oh man, if anybody who doesn't know, Marble Blast Ultra was what got me into the Marble genre. And it's got you into it as well. That's really cool. Looking forward to hearing more about that speedrunning history and your history with Marble Blast Ultra as we go. But yeah, is that also, I have to know, is that what got you into speedrunning as a whole?
Well, I played it a lot as a kid, and I took a break for like nearly a decade, but yeah, what got me back into it was Marble It Up. I never knew that game existed for so long. I didn't know the Marble genre was still going.
Very cool. Okay, so let's get started on the run, and we'll have lots of time to talk, but this game is gonna go fast, okay? This is like a 26-minute, 41-second run, and there's gonna be all kinds of levels flying by. We'll try to fit in as much as we can. Let's go ahead and hit play. Okay, and this is Learning to Roll, but it's very different from the Marble It Up Learning to Roll that we're used to. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Marble Blast Ultra speedrunning in general?
Blast Ultra speedrunning. So Marble Blast Ultra, it's a very old game, and in a lot of ways it's similar to MIU, which someone watching this may be familiar with. You've got 60 levels, they all have unique skips. It's pretty hard to pull everyone off without messing something up somewhere. But one of the major differences that this game advertises is your blast. There's a blast mechanic. It charges up over time, and you can use that to do a lot of cool skips that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, you can see that gauge right here over my shoulder.
Behind H, dude.
Yeah, really. And how does that affect everything? I mean, we're seeing all kinds of crazy movement. There's you're going diagonally. What's going on here? What's
oh yeah,
different?
well, the diagonal.
All of it, yeah. What's so different?
So this
what's
game
different about
features
this game?
Diagonal movement, where if you hold two inputs in the direction you're trying to move, you can get roughly 40% more speed. This is a common thing in the older Marble games, Marble Blast games.
Right.
So I'm mainly going to be using 45 throughout the entire run as much as I can.
Okay. And I guess if you're familiar with Marble Blast Ultra already, that's because you're playing on keyboard, it's equivalent to what they would call modded on Xbox 360, where, yeah, if you're playing unmodded, then that diagonal movement doesn't give you the actual benefit. But if you're playing on keyboard, then you do.
Yeah, and this is only possible because of OpenMBU, which is pretty much a one-to-one replica of the old game. There's not really anything changed. You could just play it on a PC with keyboard and mouse now.
Absolutely. Big shout-outs to the OpenMBU crew, anybody who's been involved in that project for making this possible. I don't know about you, but I don't know if either of us would have gotten into this game if, again, if OpenMBU didn't exist.
Yeah, at one point I tried it on an emulator, but it just wasn't the same.
Right.
Kind of hard to get the same controls you could get on a controller on a keyboard and mouse, but they did a pretty good job with this.
Yeah, for sure. And other than the OpenMBU crew, is there anybody else who kind of got you into this game or into this category?
I had this on my mind for a while, not RTA, but I just enjoyed playing some of the ILs from this game.
Right.
But earlier this year, T-Hurst, which is a runner in the community, did a GDQ appearance.
So cool.
Second GDQ appearance for this game, despite not having a very active RTA community.
Right.
That sort of brought the idea of RTA up, and I said, hey, I want to try this. I think it'll be fun. it's really similar to MIU in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, it is, and it's pretty clear that, to at least to some extent, your skills have been able to transfer between them. I know you've played some PQ and some other Marble Blast properties as well since then. But yeah, T. Hurst kind of getting us both into this, at least piquing the interest for sure. And you have really, in a lot of ways, taken this category by storm. You've lowered the world record from where it was over 30 minutes of time without loads. Granted, that was unmodded, but now to be pushing like 2640s, this game has come a really long way in the few weeks that you've been running it.
Oh yeah. We got a very cool skip coming up here. So this is Platform Party, which normally you'd have to spend 30 seconds hopping on platforms, and it's an auto-scroller. But using a setup similar to what was done by H-Burks and Zona and Marble Blast Gold, you can just do a jump pattern and time where you jump and just go straight to the finish. It saves like 20 seconds.
Absolutely insane to
One of
get
my
that
favorites.
consistent enough for full game. That's unreal. That's so precise.
And going for it and not getting it only loses like 3 seconds, so it's a really worthwhile skip.
Definitely. Of course, there are other categories other than full game. You've done like a lot of like chapter, like beginner, intermediate, and advanced runs as well. Was that largely to prepare for the full game, or like for its own right? Like what was your motivation to go into doing those runs as well?
Yeah, they're mainly preparation for full game. Kind of how I prepare for taking on an entire full game run. It's to just go piece by piece and get good at each individual part and then try to string it together. It's the same thing I did in MIU. It just works sort of well for me.
Right. And
Yeah.
but you've taken those to like some pretty significant milestones for subs. I know yesterday you were doing full game attempts and you got you broke your own chapter 1 or beginner world record, which is now 6:57:50, which is super fast. It's going to be not quite as fast in this particular run, but the strats are also a little bit different.
Yeah, in my opinion, beginner's the toughest one to run because there's a lot of skips and it involves like having really good movement throughout them. But it's kind of weird to think about, but as you go further in the game, things sort of get easier. The setups are more consistent. I don't know how to.
Interesting. But there's no
That's
trap
just
launches in
personal.
beginner. Spoilers, we'll get to those later.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna want to hear your thoughts about trap launches when we get to that point. But yeah, there's so many cool strats in this beginner, and I have actually done a few runs of my own. Partly just because this looks like a lot of fun, but also because I like to play a game before I put it on Speedrunner Showcase, so I can get a good idea of what's going on. And man, the consistency and the speed that you're going through these is just crazy to me. For somebody who, I guess, didn't really speedrun this game until, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah, about a month.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Big loop exit coming up here. Not the biggest loop exit you can get, although I have seen you do that in full game before.
Yeah, it's something I'm planning to implement going on. I don't want to spoil anything, but this run is kind of difficult to top.
No doubt. But yeah, 7:10 finishing up beginner there, and now you're kind of free to get into intermediate and got a run going.
Things are pretty smooth sailing for a while.
About what percentage of runs that you start actually make it to this point?
I have to say like somewhere around a fourth,
Okay,
or third of runs. Probably
right.
make it to this point with platform party and everything.
That sounds about right, based on what I've seen from your streams. Twitch.tv/m2k marbles for anybody who's, wants to check that out.
Yeah,
But yeah, 7:10 finishing up beginner there, and now you're kind of free to get into intermediate and got a run going.
100%.
not familiar, we'll make sure we get that link down. Because you're still doing attempts of this, which is very cool.
Yeah, I'm not grinding it as much as I was at this point, but just play it here and there because for some reason it's fun and it just brings me back.
It is fun, absolutely. And there's like, it also kind of opens up the possibility of doing speedrun races, which we've had a lot of fun with. Was that yesterday, I think, and then maybe some more today or the day before. We did some races.
Yeah, we did some on Friday.
Friday, yes. Do you see like races as a big part of this game's speedrunning community culture going forward?
I think it's just good to get together, do races with other runners, and doing races keeps the scene alive and healthy for as long as you can.
Certainly. Yeah, and I know in Marble It Up we've definitely found that races have brought back speedrunners over time and brought in new speedrunners as we go. So even though Marble Blast Ultra is obviously so much older, I feel like the RTA speedrunning community is a little bit more nascent and has a ton of room to grow. And maybe we're kind of getting to see the beginning of that now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so here's a question for you. If you were to like talk about, let's say, Marble Blast Gold, Marble Blast Ultra, Platinum Quest, whatever, about how many hours would you have played those games?
Is that including Marble It Up?
You can just count them separately.
Okay, well, I haven't played much PQ or Marble. I don't think I've played Marble Gold like at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that surprises me to hear. Anyway,
my main experience.
Very interesting.
My main experience with Gold was through. Okay, so there's a PC port for this game before OpenMBU, and it had like Gold levels and everything on it.
Right.
That's pretty much my experience with Gold levels.
Very interesting.
I think I've put something hundreds of hours into Ultra overall throughout my life.
Okay.
And whereas I've put like a couple thousand into MIU.
Right. Yeah. So in only a couple hundred hours, you're saying, or like a few hundred hours in Marble Blast Ultra ever, you're already pushing this, and that tells me that the skills definitely transfer a lot better than what you might originally expect, because you adapted this game very quickly, including like the diagonal movement and everything.
Oh yeah, well I did play this a bit during my MIU phase, so it's not all like completely new.
Now, most of my experience with this game is definitely still in the multiplayer, because I played Marble Blast Online on Instant Action, which was the version that was available on PC back then. But you did some, I guess, on the old PC port, you did like individual level running and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll definitely help prepare you for this kind of run. But I mean, it's still pretty different. You have now a fair amount of experience with full game running, and obviously a ton of experience with individual level running. How does that kind of compare for you?
My experience with IL and RTA?
Yeah, in terms of the enjoyment or the way that you approach it or anything like that.
I've always been more of a fan of IL running. I think RTA running is its own like separate challenge. It involves a lot more consistency and how well can you keep doing every strat first try every time.
Right.
Whereas IL, it's like throw yourself into one really hard, difficult strat, which is something that I feel I can do pretty well.
I'm sure the entire Marble It Up World Record Rampage would agree with that. Speaking of which, anybody who does recognize m2k, but you may not be sure where, he was the editor of World Record Rampage 2 for Marble It Up, and we had him on the show for that. That was a lot of fun, just to have you on for a commentary. But yeah, there's no leaderboards yet for this version of Marble Blast Ultra. Are you hoping to compete in individual levels once that gets updated?
Oh yeah, for sure. I have a ton of plans with this game when leaderboards come out. I got some people who would love to play this game as well, who are also very good players.
Yeah. Any shoutouts?
And, uh, shout out Berserk and Noah in the gang. All of them very good players.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is your split is named Trap Launch Simulator. What is going on here?
Oh, okay. So maybe we want to rewind and explain.
It's okay. We're doing this again.
So, starting lane at first try is a very hard skip, but basically at the start, I pause at the start to let myself out of the goal or the start pad faster. I mean, and that will set up the platform cycle for me, so I have plenty of time to line myself up. If I trap myself between the platforms, it's possible the game like handles it as a bunch of like rebounds, wall hits in a very small period of time, and there's no speed cap in this game, so you just launch all the way to the finish. And so getting something like this first or second try in the run is pretty crucial.
How likely would you be to get this second try, like on any given run?
It depends how practiced I am, because there is a setup for that one, but lining yourself up and not getting a really bad RNG trap launch, I'd say about around a quarter of the time, no more than that.
So we're already getting down to a fairly small number of runs that reached this point.
Yeah. It's a very cool black diamond too.
Yeah, that's so fast. Very cool. And you found a setup as well, Skate to the Top. This is another one that's definitely worth like specifically pointing out. Look at this edge hit.
This is an excellent example of like the kind of improvements that have gone on in the past few weeks. Because this level went from being something that people YOLO go for in a run to see if they get it or not, and then move on.
Now everybody's doing
like,
it.
Yeah, it went to a filler level. Everybody's doing it. There's 2 different really good setups for it.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's a cool skip.
Yeah, it's crazy to see a game from 2006 get like a big burst of progression in several different ways, like of routes and of I guess consistency and new records being set in modded and unmodded full game, like within the span of a couple weeks. It's crazy.
It's worth noting that this game, it was released on Xbox, which didn't have a very good recording system, so the RTA scene for this game wasn't too existent for a long time.
Yeah, you need a capture card basically in order to do it well. Also, let's go back and watch your whirl one more time, because this was perfect.
Satisfying loop exit.
Such a good setup. And just again, like throw out a number, like what percentage of runs would get like a first try whirl perfectly like that.
I've gotten like pretty consistent, but here and there I just like go on streaks of missing the loop exit.
Yeah.
You really have to, when you're doing loop exit, you really have to pay attention to where you aim the super speed to exit the loop. So I think that cuts about like 25% runs out.
Okay.
It would die there, or die any time before the end of intermediate, I guess would be more accurate.
But all of these they add up really, really quickly. All the different ways that a run can die, and not that missing the fast start on whirl would kill your run outright, but to be on such a good pace is really, really nice.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like MIU where it's one bad input, it's just you can't do anything. You just die.
Well, it's the same thing. The physics are totally unforgiving, right? It'll do exactly what you tell it to do. Even if you tell it to do the wrong thing accidentally, it'll do it.
But it's still a really responsive game for 2006. The physics are really good.
Absolutely. This game has aged so well. Even compared to Marble Blast Gold, which has obviously aged very well for being an even older game than this, but it's really hard to point out any significant flaws or ways that this game doesn't hold up. Like it just holds up completely. Unless like, do you have anything about this game that you think like maybe if it were more modern, there would be some kind of improvement you could think of?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I honestly prefer these physics over MIU, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, it's not an unpopular opinion by any means.
I think they nailed it with this game. And it's 2006 too, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, like look at other games that were coming out then. They did not look anywhere near this good, let alone play this well.
For sure, yeah.
Since we're kind of getting through into these advanced levels now, might as well hear a little bit more about your gaming experience. I know you said like most of your speedrunning experience is between this and Marble It Up. Any other games you're known for? Any other content you're known for?
That's pretty much it for Marble games. I played some other games a long time ago that have nothing to do with this game.
By all means.
Like I played a lot of like IO games in the past,
Okay.
and some other like MMOs and stuff, but yeah, that stuff's kind of a long time ago.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
mostly just known for marbles now.
And you've absolutely definitely made a name for yourself in especially in the Marble It Up community, and now you're kind of leading the way ahead in the charge of revitalizing Marble Blast Ultra, which is very cool. What would you say, do you have any future goals for speedrunning or Marble games or anything else that you're doing in the near future?
Well, I mean, I'm currently working on trying to beat this record at the moment. Plans for the future? I really want to run ILs for this game when leaderboards come out. Obviously, we talked about that. MIU Ultra's coming out. I want to run that too. That's pretty much my plans so far.
Okay. And if you do beat this run, like, is there anything different that you want to do? Is there a strat that you want to include that's not already here? Anything like that?
Well, I think the biggest loss in this run was not getting that Great Divide Trap Launch first try, but other than that, there's not really anything like shockingly new. There's just a lot of like seconds here and there to build up time save over the run.
Yeah, there's always going to be seconds here and there. I know for one, I know I'm not the runner here, but if I were to choose one thing that I would hope to see, it would be the loop exits, loopers, as they call it in
Oh yeah, I'm going for that.
Upward Spiral.
Loopers, yep.
Not that it matters either way, but I just think it's neat.
So, this pace that I'm on at this point in the run, I think that I've only been like around this pace. This is the second time. Because I had one run that was really far ahead. And a level that's coming up, I think it's a couple levels after this, but it's a very infamous level in my speedruns. It's endurance, and if you've played it before, it's like a 50-second. What?
I said, oh boy, endurance.
Oh yeah. It's a 50-second auto scroller level. But if you've seen it speedrun, it's more like a 10 to 15-second trap launch level. But the problem with that trap launch is there's no setup for it. It's completely timing dependent, and RNG is mixed in there too. So you can time it perfectly, but there's like 2 or 3 different ways you can get launched, and only one of them works. So when I get here, I'm not really like attached to the run. I'm not expecting anything to happen with the run. I'm just expecting to get here, lose like 2 minutes, and then restart the run. But this is crazy. This is the second best pace I've been on, and I'm only behind by a few seconds. And look at this.
First try.
It's just absolutely unreal, the circumstances of this run.
That's so crazy. And it is such a cool skip. This is like the best argument for like why trap lunches are cool, especially on a level like this where there's no other way to skip anything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I'll ask the question again, like, what percentage of runs would die there if you needed a first try trap launch?
Apparently all of them except for this one.
All of them except for this. This is the only time you've gotten a first try in a full game run.
No. On good pace though, yes.
On good
Like
pace,
on
yeah.
any relatively good pace. I think the only other time I had this first try was like a 28-minute pace run.
Okay.
So this was crazy to be on.
So either super lucky or super clutch or some combination of the two.
Yeah, so this is right now, this is like my only chance to be this far ahead. And I've just gotta like, I've done every level first try before. There are some difficult skips in places where the run can just instantly die still.
Sure.
But like I'm feeling good at this point.
Yeah, and there's I guess about 4 minutes left of this run now, so we're past like the biggest hurdle, but definitely a lot of things left that could potentially go wrong.
For sure, yeah, and levels get harder and more costly as you get to the final ones. The order of this game is very dynamic with the difficulty. The difficulty increases pretty linearly. So the final
Yeah,
level,
it's almost impressive that
play
they
the
were able
game.
to do that.
Yeah, it's a very difficult final level, and the level before it, it may not be as difficult, but if you slip up, the run's dead. You just lose so much time.
It's such
So
a costly place to
that's
die.
yeah, that's all I'm thinking about right now.
But yeah, like I said, this game is unforgiving. Not certainly as much as Marvel Last Gold, which doesn't have checkpoints, but it's unforgiving no matter how you look at it. If you're trying to get a really optimized time, then a single death on natural selection, like you're saying, just gonna kill your it's gonna kill your motivation. You get there on such a good pace, and then, yeah. I could definitely see
Here
that.
I'm not using 45 because I'm using a timer lineup. I think I used that a few times throughout the run and I didn't mention it, but this one's one of the biggest ones. Because you can just line up and get this 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's nice. One of the nice things about having such consistent physics is you put in the same inputs and you will get the same results.
That's nice.
Yeah, if you can line up, especially with a mouse, it's a lot easier. You line up some of the geometry on the timer, some kind of setup like that. Yeah, it's really nice. We're on the threefold race and very close to the end of the run. What are you like, other than thinking about just like not dying? Is there anything else that you're thinking about at this point in a run when you're on pace?
Not really. That's kind of it. It's just like, how can this run go wrong? I've been on runs before. I think the biggest one I remember was a run. It would have been like a 27:30, which would have been a huge record at that time.
Right.
I got to the final level and I just sat there dying for a minute.
Ugh.
But because of that, whenever that happens, I go back and I play the level over and over again because I will not make that mistake again. So this run is no exception. I'm very prepared for these final levels.
And as with any game, like the mental kind of like the headspace that you're in really matters, because if you crack under pressure, you're never going to finish a run on this kind of pace.
Oh yeah, and I think this is one of the only times I can think of that I've ever been shaking in a run a little bit, was on the final level. Just given the circumstances of the run and getting that first try endurance, being so far ahead, it's kind of nerve-wracking in a way.
So I do remember watching your previous record that you had set, and I watched that run back a couple of times. I was thinking maybe we would get that on Showcase, and then I saw you post this this record that was like minus 30 or something crazy, and I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the previous run I'm comparing against was also a very good run.
It was a fantastic run, yeah. And so it's kind of hard to, like, this being the first run that some people may have seen of this game. Hopefully it's clear how much skill is going into this, but it's hard to really describe how exceptional it is in terms of getting all of these strats that are so
Yeah, I can see something like this looking easy, but you kind of have to play it to really get that feel. So I edge hit there. That was scary.
Yeah,
I
and
only
there we
noticed
go.
that when I rewatched it. I only noticed that I edge hit on the top beam when I rewatched it. I never realized. Oh, I
Somehow
don't
it
know. I'm
works
not
out.
so happy to get that.
I don't know how, but somehow it works out. And yeah,
It was meant to be.
the first sub 27 and a pretty deep sub 27 as well. Crazy, crazy run.
For sure, yeah. I'm also thinking, I just realized another skip that wasn't in this run that I usually go for was Battleman's Trap Launch. We kind of like glossed over that, but
Sure.
it saves like 5 to 10 seconds. But if there's a chance you can get Trap Launch and either go like unreasonably high that you lose time, or you can just go out of bounds and go through the platform, all of which would kill a run, so it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
You kind of want to barely pinch your marble, and I wasn't in the right spot, so I said, whatever, I'm getting out of there, just doing it normal.
Yeah, right here is the moment where you could have done that. How much time does that save?
The 5 to 10 seconds. The problem
5 to
was
10
when I
seconds.
first, yeah, usually I turn to the side and I hit A to go in there. I was gonna go too far, and I noticed, which would have led to either me being trap launched into the stratosphere or just going somewhere out of bounds. So I pulled out and I was gonna go back in, but I didn't have enough time. A lot of these trap launches, you don't get a lot of time to set them up.
Yeah, but to me,
Yeah.
it's crazy at all that you would risk a trap launch for what, 5 or 10 seconds? Like, is the game really getting to that level of optimization?
It's
That
one of
to
the
me
easier
is
trap
insane.
launches. Yeah, it's one of the easier trap launches. It's definitely something I'll go for if I ever get a run on pace again. But for the purpose of this, I just wanted to break the sub. It's just so far ahead. Look at the best pace ever. I mean, I didn't want to lose that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, 27 seconds ahead of where you've ever been. I wouldn't have risked it either, but obviously, but the fact that it's even a consideration is pretty crazy, and not as just like a YOLO strat. Yeah, this game has come so far. Even just like if you watch the record from a couple weeks ago, it's a significant difference in what you're able to pull off here. Yeah, a great run. Anything else that we should cover here? I feel like we've gotten an introduction to Marble Blast Ultra and Marble Blast Ultra speedrunning. Community's kind of starting to pop off the last couple of weeks. Anything you'd like to mention about this game or about your channel or your content or anything like that?
About this game, I think it's really easy to get into, and if you enjoy MIU, I think it's worth giving this a try, especially if you've had a background in it or it's been part of your childhood. So
It's
it's
also
a really
free.
fun game to revisit. Yeah, it's free, and you can play controller or KBM on your computer, and it works really well. That's about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Marble Blast, you play Open MBU for Marble Blast Ultra. It's a really faithful port, really. It plays in a lot of ways just like the 360 version, especially if you have a 360 controller. Like it's basically the same, and they are doing some improvements. We've played some multiplayer as well, which felt incredibly responsive. Like very little noticeable lag or
Yeah, that felt just like old multiplayer.
just like, yeah, I know it's really, really impressive what they've been able to do with this game. And yeah, if anybody wants to play it, check out OpenMBU as well. Hit up myself or m2k, and we'll let you know how to get into it. I think that's just about it for our show, though. If you want to see any more m2k, you can check out his channel. You can also check out the Marble It Up World Record Rampage #2 comparison video that we did recently on this channel. And we had you on Speedrunner Showcase for Marble It Up, a full game speedrun as well. So make sure we link those below, and we'll let you sign off.
I do stream my attempts as well, so if you are interested in seeing that kind of stuff, then check out my Twitch as well.
I'll see you in chat.
m2k Marbles.
We'll get that link below. Why don't you sign us off, m2k, and we'll see you all later.
See you guys.
Bye.